Hello, welcome to Tuesday Tea Time. I'm out here with my mare Cleo, and she's just having a little bit of a grazing break, and I thought I would talk to you guys. I don't have tea today, but I like the consistency of tea time, and so I figured doing it from horseback today was as good as anything. So today, I thought I'd talk a little bit about patience. A lot of times when I'm traveling and when I'm teaching, people will say, oh, you have amazing patience. And I don't really. I mean, I've developed it. It's gotten better over time. But I think the only reason my patience has gotten better is because I've learned what lies underneath patience. And that is an insane curiosity to find out what happens next if I don't get in the way. So the way I see it is when we're impatient, when we want things to change faster, we don't have time to see what happens next. And it's kind of an interesting thing, because if you think about it, if you miss out on whatever happens naturally, that's a moment that's gone. It will never happen again. And if you interfere, distract the horse, entertain the horse, move the horse around, you'll never know what the horse was going to choose before you got in the way, before you meddled with things. So I have developed not so much patience, but the ability to be so curious about what happens next. What happens next in each moment? Because if I force what I think should happen, I already know the outcome. And I think, here as I'm sitting with Cleo, she's just eating grass and enjoying herself. And you think, well, there's not much that's going to happen here. She's just enjoying herself. But that's where you're wrong. There's so many tiny details. So as I'm sitting here, there's first of all the details in the environment around me. Whether it's, the roses on the bush over there under the cedar trees, or the foxgloves coming up next to the stump, or the singing of the birds. There's all these things that I could be interested about. There's all these things that I could be interested about with Cleo, who's, just grazing. Doesn't seem like she's doing anything very interesting. But if I notice the rhythm that she chews, does it get faster? Does it get slower? Does she graze to the right of her body or to the left of her body? All of these things are interesting to me. What are the patterns? Can I predict the patterns? Can I guess what's going to happen next? Am I right? Am I wrong? How sure am I? Would I put money on that bet? Do I know for sure when she's going to pick her head up? When she's going to put it back down? You see, it's in the study of these things. She's not picking her head up very often. But it's in the study of these things that I learn my horse really, really well. And when I learn my horse really, really well, I start to know when it's possible to put pressure on them. Hi, Rachel. Thank you for joining me for tea time without tea today. So, if I'm just out here on my horse, I can, lie back, take a nap, relax. I can do these things because Cleo and I have a huge amount of trust. And that trust, hi Hannah, trust is built from having a lot of experiences that developed good feelings. So when you share an experience with the horse that is going to get better, they learn to trust you. And I think the key to building a really good voluntary relationship with a horse is to do a lot of things that are going to get better, and then leave before they get worse, or change the game before they get worse. Do something else. And so that's my art form. You know, I spent a lot of years where I caused horses to do things that I wanted them to do. And that's beautiful too. There's nothing wrong with causing training. Actually, I think it's really valuable. But it's not really what I like to do anymore. What I like to do is observe. Observe the patterns. Observe how they graze. What plants do they like? Where do they move? When do they take a step? How long do they stay in one place? If I know these things before the horse even knows them, then when it comes time to put a little bit of pressure on them, I can do it at the right time. And when I put pressure on at the right time, it becomes effortless training. If I put pressure on at the wrong time, then it's just a battle of wills. So, you know, people talk about feel and timing a lot. How do you develop feel and timing? I think you develop feel and timing by being curious about what happens next naturally, which means you have to be patient enough to stop interfering. Now, in the training that I do, I have people do a balance between their passive and their supportive leadership. Supportive being where you move more than the horse. And when you move more than the horse, you are a little bit distracting. You're not causing the horse to do anything directly. You're not putting pressure on them, but you're a little bit distracting. And then as you see they're starting to feel better for any reason, you get very quiet and you match your feet to theirs. So if they're still, you're still. If they're walking, you're walking. You're doing exactly what they're doing. And when you start doing exactly what they're doing, what you do is you stop distracting them from whatever enjoyment it is that is feeding them in that moment. You become part of it. And then you earn a kind of trust that is really different than the things that you cause. So yes, we can cause the horse to feel better. We can cause movements that then settle their nerves or lower their anxiety. We can cause puzzles that they figure out that make them feel brave and smart and all sorts of things. And that's part of it too. But what I find is if you can take a little time every day to study what happens naturally, to become really, really curious about what happens naturally, then when you go to cause things, your feel and your timing is so much better. So, you know, it may look like I am doing nothing. I'm literally sitting here on my headless horse because she's eating grass. But over a long period of time, she and I have built a lot of trust. And, sorry, I rotated my phone the wrong way. It means that, you know, I can sit on her any way I like, and that she's pretty happy to change focus every once in a while, make sure I'm okay, and just be my friend. So I got to keep my balance, obviously. If I fall off, that's my problem. Hi, Kath. It's good to see you here. So those are my thoughts today, that patience, it's not really patience in the way that we're raised to think of patience, where you wait for something whether you like it or not. I think real patience is an intense curiosity to find out what happens next. How do you foster that curiosity? My favorite way is to gamble or to place small bets. I think I know what's going to happen next. And I think it's going to happen right now. And if I'm wrong, I laugh and I go, okay, my timing wasn't great. I think this is going to happen next. And I think this is going to happen now. And I do this all the time. This is how I develop patience. Sometimes I'm better at it. Sometimes I'm worse at it. But my brain is actually pretty active while I'm being patient. So Lucy says, I love the relationship you have. Yeah, Cleo and I have been together for a lot of years. She was the horse that came off the trailer with Myrna. And she is She's a rock. She's solid. She's my friend. Yay, Oriana, you made it here to live tea time. Welcome. So once you develop a little bit more of these abilities to listen and watch and pay attention to your horse, then stuff doesn't come as a surprise to you. So, you know, if they go to take you for a little bit of a walk, or they lie down, or they get startled by a deer, or, you know, any of the number of things that happen with horses, you already knew it was going to happen because you've spent so many hours watching them, knowing their responses, knowing what bothers them, knowing what entertains them, knowing what makes them curious. So being patient for me is about being very, very curious. Very curious about what happens naturally next. And once we're curious and we start trying to predict things, the brain gets really engaged and you can lose 5 hours in a moment. That is what patience is to me. So, little food for thought. If you are having trouble being patient with something, ask yourself, if you interrupt this, will you ever know what was going to happen? And it might be worth finding out. So on that note, I've got to take Miss Cleo. Hi, Cleo. Let's see if you'll join the camera here. Hi, hi. I'm going to take Miss Cleo back in. She only gets a few hours of grass a day, but she's a pretty good sport about it. And I want to thank all of you guys for joining us for tea time on my gregarious post. And we're going to go ahead and sign off. Cleo, can you come here for a second? Have a wonderful day, you guys, wherever you are. I will be more organized for tea time next Tuesday. One last note, I am doing a freedom-based learning salon today, and it's on the subject of being a better person for our horses and how we do that, how we support that. It is on my Patreon page, and if you join my Patreon group, you are welcome to be part of the conversation. That's going off at 1 o'clock today. So I'm going to go get organized, and I will see some of you guys at the salon.